Have you ever given so much after retirement that you later wished you hadn't? It usually starts with love, helping your adult child get on their feet, offering support, doing what feels normal in a close family. But here's the truth few talk about. Once you retire, your energy, finances, and independence don't bounce back like they used to. And giving away certain parts of your life can slowly take away the peace you spent decades building. In this video, we'll walk through 7 things you should never hand over to your children after retirement, not because you don't care, but because the cost to your health, autonomy, and future well-being is simply too high. Protecting these things doesn't make you selfish. It makes you wise. Stay with me until the end, because these 7 points could be the difference between a retirement filled with quiet resentment and one filled with freedom, dignity, and deep connection. If you've ever wondered where to draw the line between offering support and sacrificing yourself, this video is for you. Number 1. Control over your financial decisions. One of the most dangerous things to quietly give away after retirement is control over your money. Many older adults do it without realizing the long-term consequences. It might start with signing over authority to help a child pay bills, handle paperwork, or just take care of things so you can rest. At first, it feels like trust. But over time, that trust can turn into a shift in power. And once control over your finances slips from your hands, it can be incredibly hard to take it back. It's not about mistrust. It's about protection. Your financial decisions are directly tied to your freedom, where you live, the kind of care you can choose, and even how you spend your final years. Handing someone else full control, even a loved one, is like giving them the steering wheel to your life. No matter how close the relationship, that imbalance can quietly lead to tension, overreach, or, in the worst cases, financial abuse. I recall a man named Gerald, 77 years old, who gave his son full access to his accounts because he disliked dealing with online banking. At first, it seemed to work well, but over time, his son began making purchases without asking, small ones at first, then larger and more frequent. "I felt like a guest in my own finances," Gerald admitted. And when he finally confronted his son, the response was, "I thought you didn't care." That, he said, was the deepest cut. The truth is, your money is more than just numbers. It's the sum of your effort, your boundaries, and your independence. You have every right to keep control, even if you sometimes ask for help. There's a vast difference between someone assisting you with a task and someone taking over your decision-making. If help is necessary, set clear boundaries. Use joint accounts only when essential. Keep thorough records, and make sure you fully understand every action being taken. And if something feels wrong, speak up. Your instincts are worth trusting. After decades of earning, saving, and managing your resources, no one, not even your child, should have the final say over how you use them. That decision belongs to you alone, and protecting it is one of the strongest ways to safeguard your future. Number 2. Your home or property before it's necessary. Giving your child your house or any property you own before it's truly needed may appear generous, but it's also one of the riskiest choices an older adult can make. You might think they'll inherit it eventually, or that it will simplify matters now, but too often it means giving up the very thing that keeps you safe, stable, and in control. Your home isn't just walls and a roof, it's your anchor. It's where you decide who enters, when you rest, how you live, and on what terms. The moment you hand over legal ownership, whether it's to avoid taxes, simplify inheritance, or help your child financially, you also surrender your rights. And depending on the laws in your state, getting those rights back could be nearly impossible. I once spoke with Dorothy, an 81-year-old retiree, who transferred her home to her son after he convinced her it would protect the property from potential medical expenses. At first, it seemed like a smart move, but just 2 years later, he went through a divorce and her home became entangled in a legal battle she couldn't stop. "It didn't even feel like mine anymore," she told me. "I just wanted peace and I lost my peace trying to do the right thing." Even when relationships are loving and strong, life can change in ways no one expects. Children can lose jobs, face divorce, or fall into debt. And if your home is in their name, their problems can quickly become yours. Your shelter, your equity, and your ability to make choices about your living situation may no longer be protected. This isn't about mistrust. It's about foresight. Keep your name on the deed. Consult a legal advisor who understands elder law. Explore options like living trusts or agreements that allow for shared planning without giving up ownership. But never feel pressured to sign your home away simply because someone says it's time. You've spent a lifetime building that roof over your head. Keeping it in your name doesn't make you ungrateful or selfish. It makes you responsible for your safety, your future, and the independence you've worked so hard to earn. Number 3, unlimited access to your time and energy. After retirement, your time becomes one of your most precious resources. Yet many older parents find themselves giving it away without boundaries, offering rides, running errands, babysitting, or always being available for their adult children. What starts as love and support can quietly shift into obligation. And before you realize it, your days no longer feel like your own. There's nothing wrong with helping. The problem begins when that help shifts from being appreciated to being expected. When your availability is taken for granted, when your rest and daily rhythm are repeatedly disrupted, and when saying no starts to feel like you're letting someone down, that's when the balance tips and quiet resentment can settle in. I think of Joyce, 76, who adored her daughter and loved spending time with her grandchildren. She was happy to help at first, but as months went by, she found herself picking them up from school 4 days a week. She skipped her book club, postponed her own medical appointments, and often fell asleep before dinner from sheer exhaustion. "I retired to enjoy my life," she told me, "not to relive the same schedule I had at 40. Your energy after 70 is different. It needs protecting. You deserve rest, space, and time for the activities that feed your spirit, without feeling guilty for taking them. Yes, your children may truly need your support, but that doesn't make your time an endless supply to be tapped at will. Setting boundaries isn't a rejection of family, it's an act of self-respect. It's perfectly fine to say, "I can help on Tuesdays, but I need the rest of the week for myself." It's okay to reschedule. It's okay to protect your mornings, your peaceful afternoons, or your cherished weekend plans. Guarding your time isn't selfish, it's wise. You have as much right to it as anyone else. The truth is, when you constantly give your energy away, you leave less for the things that bring you joy, peace, and purpose. Retirement should not be defined solely by meeting other people's needs. It should be about finally having the freedom to honor your own. Number 4, the role of emotional counselor or fixer. One of the hardest habits to break as a parent is the instinct to solve your children's emotional struggles, even when they are fully grown. You've spent decades being their anchor, their listener, and their safe place to land. But in retirement, taking on their constant stress, fear, or disappointment can quietly wear you down. As the years pass, your emotional reserves become more valuable. When your adult children bring you every crisis, relationship conflicts, workplace drama, financial panic, you may find yourself carrying a weight that is no longer truly yours to bear. It's not that you don't care, it's that your nervous system wasn't designed to be a 24/7 therapist. I once met Howard, 78, whose son called almost every day to unload about his failing business. Howard listened, offered advice, and even lent money. But over time, he began losing sleep, feeling helpless, and walking around with a constant knot in his chest. "I started feeling like I was the one drowning," he told me. "And I wasn't even in the water." That's what happens when you become your child's emotional emergency room. You absorb every alarm, every fear, every frustration, but you have nowhere to set down your own. The more you take in, the more drained you become. You are allowed to listen without taking on the responsibility of fixing everything. You are allowed to say, "That sounds difficult, and I hope you find a way through it." You are allowed to recommend therapy, support groups, or other resources that don't require you to give constant emotional labor, because in this stage of life, Your peace is not a luxury, it's your medicine. Protecting it doesn't mean closing your heart. It means keeping your heart whole so you can continue to offer love without losing yourself in the process. Number 5. Direct responsibility for raising grandchildren. Many older adults step into caring for their grandchildren with open hearts and good intentions. The love and willingness are real, but taking on full or even near full responsibility for raising them during your retirement years can quickly become more than your body, mind, or finances were meant to handle. What begins as just helping out can quietly turn into an unspoken expectation. Before long, your retirement is no longer your own. Caring for young children is physically demanding. It can disrupt your sleep, alter your eating habits, increase your stress, and make it harder to keep up with your own medical needs. And emotionally, it can feel like being pulled back into a chapter of life you already lived once, a chapter that requires constant attention, energy, and sacrifice. Stage you've already lived once, when what you truly need now is rest, stability, and the space to reflect and enjoy life. I remember Linda, 73, who agreed to watch her toddler grandson just for the summer. But the months quietly turned into years. Soon, she was back to packing lunches, managing tantrums, and pacing the floor at night when he had a cold. "I love him with all my heart," she told me, "but I'm tired. I didn't realize how much I'd lose." The guilt was real, the love was real, but so was the cost. Raising children is a full-time job, and unless you have truly planned for it and chosen it freely, it can slowly erase the space you need to grieve, to travel, to rest, or even to simply think your own thoughts. If your child's situation requires help, explore other options first. Can the responsibility be shared among family members? Could part-time childcare be arranged? Could you commit to specific days or hours instead of being available all the time? Boundaries are not rejection, they are clarity. You've spent decades caring for others, and while grandchildren are a profound joy, you are not obligated to start the parenting journey over again in your 70s or 80s. It is perfectly okay to say, "I'll love them, guide them, and support where I can, but I cannot raise them." That truth may be difficult, but it can also be the healthiest choice for everyone involved. Number 6. Your retirement savings or emergency funds. One of the most generous and most dangerous gifts you can give your child after retirement is access to the money you've spent a lifetime building. Whether it's dipping into your retirement savings to pay off their debt, covering their mortgage just for a while, or handing over cash during one of their emergencies, the effect is the same. You are chipping away at the very foundation meant to protect you. It's natural to want to help. It feels like love. It feels like support. But here's the reality no one talks about. Once that money leaves your account, it almost never comes back. And if your health declines, your expenses rise, or an unexpected crisis hits, the financial cushion you thought you could rely on may no longer be there. That's not just risky, it's dangerous. I recall Henry, 80 years old, who loaned his son nearly $30,000 over the course of 5 years. It wasn't all at once, just small amounts here and there. First, it was for car repairs, then credit card bills, then a new business idea. "I thought I was helping," Henry told me, "but I was emptying the tank I was supposed to retire on." And it's not just about the money, it's about the emotional toll, the constant worry about whether you'll have enough for your own future. That quiet anxiety that creeps in every time you visit the pharmacy, see the doctor, or open a bill. That kind of stress can rob you of sleep, drain your mood, and chip away at your quality of life. You are not a bad parent for saying, "I need to protect my savings." You are not selfish for drawing a clear line between generosity and survival. Your children can rebuild their finances. You may not have the same time, health, or earning ability to rebuild yours. If you truly want to help, decide in advance how much you can give and stick to it. Offer financial guidance before you offer financial aid. Encourage them to explore loans, payment plans, or other support systems. And remember, protecting your own financial independence isn't just for your benefit. It ensures you won't have to rely on your children later, something many of them quietly worry about just as much as you do. Number 7. Decision-making power over your life plans. After retirement, your needs, routines, and priorities naturally shift. You've earned yet the right to make choices that reflect who you are now, not who others think you should be. But one of the most subtle ways older adults lose control is by allowing their adult children to start making decisions for them instead of with them. This change rarely happens overnight. It often begins with small suggestions. Why don't you move closer to us? You shouldn't be driving anymore. It's time to downsize. While many of these ideas may be offered with love, if they're repeated without truly listening to your perspective, they can start to feel less like care and more like directives. I once knew a woman named Elaine, 79, moved out of her longtime home to live near her daughter's family across the country. On paper, it seemed like the perfect decision: more help nearby, closer to the grandchildren, and a simpler way of living. But within 6 months, she felt like a stranger in her own life. "It wasn't my town, my church, my doctor, or my friends," she told me. "I thought I was choosing connection, but I lost my place." Your life doesn't have to match someone else's vision to be valid. You are still the author of your own story. Just because your children have opinions, or even genuine concerns, doesn't mean they get to dictate where you live, how you spend your time, or how you shape your final decades. That doesn't mean you shouldn't listen. It's wise to consider feedback, especially when it comes to safety, health, or long-term support. But decisions like where to live, what kind of care you want, or how much independence to maintain should ultimately reflect your values, not someone else's expectations. Retirement is not the end of your authority. It's the time to reclaim it. It's your opportunity to think carefully about your future while standing firmly in the present. Because once you allow someone else to take the wheel of your life, it becomes harder and harder to steer it back. Protect your right to decide. Speak clearly. Put things in writing. Ask questions, and never hesitate to say, "I appreciate your concern, but I know what's right for me." That single sentence can preserve not just your autonomy, but your dignity. Final thoughts. Retirement is a sacred chapter, hard-earned, deeply personal, and meant to be lived on your own terms. Yet too often, in the name of love or loyalty, older adults hand over the very things that safeguard their peace, their money, their time, their homes, their boundaries. And the cost of that generosity is far more than financial. It can be emotional, mental, and deeply personal. If today's video has brought anything into focus, let it be this. You are allowed to love your children without sacrificing yourself. You are allowed to set boundaries without guilt. And you are absolutely allowed to protect what you've worked so hard to build, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. The 7 things we've discussed are not about cutting off support. They're about offering it in ways that don't erode your foundation. They're about shaping a version of retirement where your needs aren't pushed to the bottom of the list, where your voice still carries weight, and where your final decades are guided not by obligation, but by clarity, courage, and care. So take a quiet moment to reflect. Which of these 7 areas feels most relevant to your life right now? Which one did you realize you may have already been giving away? And which one are you ready, starting today, to protect? Thank you for spending this time with us. I would truly love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and share one insight you gained from this video and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your voice matters, and reading your comments gives us the motivation and encouragement to keep going. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with others who might benefit. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content to inform and inspire you. Wishing you good health, happiness, and peace. And remember to subscribe to my channel so we can continue this journey together.